Hello and welcome back to the Second Take Podcast. My name is Calvin Williams and I am here with my co-host Marco Rogers. You guys have heard that many times and you're hearing it again today. We have a very exciting week coming up, week 1 of college football, real college football at least, because I don't really count last week. So today we're just going to be recapping Nebraska versus Northwestern real quick, and then we're going to get into the best segments of all college football, week 1 predictions, do some underdog predictions as everyone loves. We're going to finish up the episode with some breakout players that we think are going to have a good week, and that'll be it. So we're in for a nice compact episode today, but we're hoping to pack it with content as usual. So Marco, you want to kick us off with the Northwestern versus Nebraska game?
Yep. This was a phenomenal game. I was watching the fourth quarter. It was super intense. Just a great game between two pretty decently sized rivals. They always compete in the West. Nebraska hasn't really been competing in the West, but these are two teams they play every year. This year happened to be in Dublin, Ireland. So Northwestern, first college team to win a game in Ireland. Congratulations. This was a great game, so let's start it off. Northwestern, they're up 17-14 at half. Nebraska comes in at halftime. They scored back-to-back touchdowns out of the break. But, then Scott Frost had one of the most interesting decisions in college football that will probably happen all the year. He decides to onside kick it while up by 11, while up 28-17. Northwestern does recover the onside kick. They go down, they score, and just terrible coaching by Scott Frost. Ryan Hilinski, great game by him, and 314 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interception. That's a great stat line, and I'm starting to think Scott Frost might be a little bit more on the hot seat, and he should probably get fired pretty soon.
Yeah, after promising to lead the team back to a college football playoff contention or Big Ten championship contention at least, a couple of years ago when he was hired, he has not made any progress since his hire. Every year we think Nebraska is going to be that exciting team, but he just doesn't seem to be able to just lead this team to victory, which is what a coach needs to be able to do. Like, at least with Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, I've never been the biggest Jim Harbaugh fan, but he did have a couple good years, whereas there's just been nothing out of Scott Frost. And yeah, unfortunately, I think he's going to lose his job within the next couple of years.
Just not a great game for Nebraska. You had the lead. Obviously,
Yeah.
Special teams was terrible for them last year. Obviously, Scott Frost does not want a special teams coach because he thinks they don't need it. And clearly they do. They've lost probably at least 6 games in the past 2 years now off of special teams errors and bad coaching decisions. Just really tough loss for Nebraska.
Yeah, just overall really bad, really, really bad. But aside from that, obviously Northwestern's Ryan Hilinski seals his starting spot with his stat line. And sorry for that. And the Nebraska quarterback transfer from Texas, Casey Thompson, everyone was super excited about him. And to be honest, I don't think there's any reason to lose that excitement. He did have a rough-looking stat line, just 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but it was still a pretty impressive performance. He threw for 355 yards, and neither of the interceptions were his fault. They were both dropped passes from his receivers. So as a Nebraska fan, I wouldn't lose hope on that end of the front, but if you guys can't get some receivers impact really soon, you're gonna run out of time real fast.
Yeah, also, if you just watch that game, that Nebraska defensive line was just getting pushed around by that Northwestern O-line, which just should not happen. Evan Hall rushed for 119 yards and a touchdown. Cam Porter, 94 yards, a touchdown. That Nebraska D-line just looked terrible. Their defense was supposed to be good this year. Clearly it's not. Just really tough loss for Nebraska.
Yeah, that is not the type of tone you want to set at the start of a season. All right, moving on, we're going to do some college football playoff predictions. We're just going to start with number 8 Michigan versus Colorado State. Only reason we're doing this game is because everyone here is a Michigan fan. So, Marco, what do you have to say about this one? I mean, I think it should be a blowout by anyone's standards, but I don't know. What are you excited to look forward to?
I mean, obviously, Cade McNamara will be starting this game. I mean, Michigan, I'm just excited to see all the players on the field again. Ronnie Bell hopefully doesn't get injured again. I mean, I'm very excited to see him again. I'm just excited to see all the players, see how the depth chart ends up, see how everyone plays. Just excited to see the guys on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't say much more. As far as a prediction for this game goes, Michigan should win this game by probably over 40. I don't have much else to say.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado State's on a 5-game losing streak from last year. That should continue here today.
Yep. All right, next up, we have Penn State at Purdue. So the thing is with this game, neither of these teams are ranked, but they both are on the verge, right, of being in that top 25. So this is a big game for both teams. I think whoever wins this game will make that jump into the top 25. So big quarterback battle here. Some experienced quarterbacks in Aiden O'Connell for Purdue, Sean Clifford for Penn State. I think it's going to be a very exciting game to watch as long as Purdue can stay in the game. But I think there is a chance Penn State could pull away quite a bit in this one.
Yeah, I mean, Purdue, they always pull off upsets. That's what they did last year, obviously beating Michigan State. This wouldn't really be much of an upset. I mean, it's a home game. I mean, Penn State, though, they're just the more talented team. They have a lot more 5-stars, a lot more 4-stars. They're simply the better team. And if Purdue wins this game, I think James Franklin should be on the hot seat. And I mean, if they do not have a productive year this year.
I mean, I don't know about. Yeah. I mean, I actually don't mind that they haven't had a Big Ten. They haven't even really been that all too close since Saquon Barkley was there to a Big Ten championship run. So yeah, I guess I could see him being a little bit iffy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's not that good of a coach. He just gets incredible recruiting. He's a great recruiter, but I don't think
There's a difference between a good recruiter and a good coach.
Yeah.
Recruiting is part of the coaching job, but it's a whole nother thing when you're in that inside.
Yeah, like if you get that many 5-stars, that many 4-stars, you shouldn't be going 8-4, 9-3 every year. That just shouldn't be happening.
Yeah, at some point you got to make a run. We saw it with Michigan last year when we didn't think we were gonna. Penn State's, if they want to keep their head coach, they're gonna have to do something similar. All right, next up, number 11 Oregon and number 3 Georgia. I mean, personally, I think Georgia's gonna take this game. I don't know a great deal about this Oregon team. They're pretty well unknown, but I will say, the way Georgia looked last year. Compared, I know they lost a lot of guys, which definitely hurts. But I mean, they're one of those big SEC schools. They're gonna get those recruits every single year. And although Oregon had that great recruiting class they brought in this year, I'm not sure I can see Oregon win this game.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia, obviously they lost, I think, 7 defenders in like the first 4 rounds. Just an incredible defense last year. This year, that defense is still going to be top 5 in the country pretty easily, but I'm not sure if it's going to be number 1 by that much. I think it's going to be
last year was probably one of the greatest college football defense, if not the greatest college football defenses of all time. So
yeah,
I mean, you're not going to replicate that every single year.
Yeah, but I think this Georgia offense will be better this year. I think they're still going to be in the college football playoff next year and be a title contender. I don't see this game being very close.
Yeah, I mean, the rankings say it's going to be close, but who knows? Anything can happen, right? Top 15 game. I'm still going to watch it. It's going to be a good one. All right, next, the biggest game of the week. Number 5, Notre Dame at number 2, Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State, every year it happens. They're bringing back C.J. Stroud this year, and they're bringing back one of their top receivers in Jackson Smith-Njigba. So it's just going to be really difficult for a Notre Dame team that lost to Cincinnati, got actually stomped by Cincinnati and missed out on the college football playoff last year. I honestly think their ranking is pretty generous, and it was to publicize this game a little bit more as a top 5 game. But I just don't think this game is going to be very close. I think Ohio State is very much the better team, but I don't know. You never know. Like I said, with these high-ranking matchups, anything can happen, but Ohio State is most definitely the better team.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame, they're a physical team. They got lots of grit. I mean, I just don't think their offense is explosive whatsoever. I don't, against bad defenses last year, we saw them putting up around 28, 30 points a game. I think their offense got even worse this year. I mean, Marcus Freeman seems like a great coach, but I just don't see him winning this game. I think Ohio State puts up over 40 points, and I don't think Notre Dame can keep up with that. I think Ohio State's defense is going to be a lot better this year. Their offense is going to be pretty similar. I think Ohio State's one of the best teams in the country, if not the best team, and Notre Dame just isn't that elite anymore.
They're just not there yet. They're just not there yet, is the bottom line. I think Marcus Freeman can make some big jumps in the next couple of years, but they are simply not there yet.
Yeah.
All right, next up, underdog predictions. Oh, sorry, Marco. Do you have anything else to say?
I was just going to say, I don't think Notre Dame will be a top 10 team by the end of this year.
Yeah, I can't say I disagree. But in the next couple of years, under a good head coach, they definitely could. So, next, underdog predictions. If you don't know how this works, this needs to be, what does the difference need to be? It needs to be either a 20-point spread or an unranked team beating a top 20 team, or it can be like a 20 or plus ranked team beating a top 5 team, I believe, are the criteria. So my underdog and we keep a record over the year. Whoever wins, they get pride. So we are both currently 0-0, obviously. So my prediction is going to be West Virginia over number 17 Pitt. The thing with this game, it is a rivalry. Although Pitt is at home, I just think that can always add a little bit of randomness, a little bit of motivation for West Virginia. Pitt could be a little too amped up, make a couple stupid mistakes. I mean, just whenever it's a rivalry game, it's just always going to favor the underdog. Last season, I would say it was a disappointing 7-6 for West Virginia. They were just too inconsistent, but they did show flashes of being a good team. Wins over Iowa State, Virginia Tech, and they almost beat Oklahoma near the end of the year. So I think those, if they can get a little flash of those good games, I could definitely see them taking this game home.
Oh, yeah, that will definitely be an interesting game. My underdog prediction is number 7 Utah at unranked Florida. I mean, playing a night game in the swamp, it's always a tough and huge game every year. And a kickoff to the year for an extremely talented Florida team. I think this game is probably the toughest game of the year for a high expectation Utah team looking to make possibly a playoff push. Anthony Richardson, the Florida QB, could have a huge year after a pretty rough ending when he started at the end of last year. And I mean, in my opinion, there's no better place to start a big year than a home night game win over a top 10 opponent. Utah, they did return.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better.
Utah did return most of their roster from last year, and that roster made it to the Rose Bowl, almost beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. But I think Florida, they are the more talented team, and if they play like they should, I think that they will win this game.
I mean, Yeah, I would love to see a top 10 upset at the start of the year, but we'll have to wait to find out. All right, Marco, do you also want to start us off with the breakout players for the week?
Yep, so my breakout player is a little bit of a more unknown player. Warren Thompson, the receiver for Arkansas. He's going to be the wide receiver one this year. I mean, he's I believe a fifth-year senior. And last year they obviously had Treylon Burks, one of the best receivers in college football. I mean, that's just a huge gap to fill in for any team. It's going to be tough, but I mean, when he played last year, he looked pretty solid, and now being the wide receiver one, getting pretty much all of the snaps, and they kept an elite QB in KJ Jefferson, who will make the necessary throws. I think he could have a very big game here against a ranked Cincinnati team who did lose their main corner, Sauce Gardner. So I think he'll have a big week, probably over at least 80 yards, maybe a touchdown. I'm excited to see how that Arkansas receiving core replaces Treylon Burks.
Yeah, a huge gap to fill there, obviously. But if he can step up, that's going to be huge for Arkansas if they want to make any type of run this year. All right, for me, I'm going with Oklahoma State's quarterback Spencer Sanders. Had a phenomenal year I wouldn't say phenomenal. He had a great season last year at Oklahoma State. 2,839 throwing yards. And entering his senior year with his second most used target last season, which was Brennan Presley. I just think he's going to be an exciting guy to watch. Obviously, having that backbone receiver is just going to be huge, and I think he could definitely lead this team to a Big 12 title, especially how weak that conference is looking this year.
Yeah, I mean, first game against Central Michigan, that's going to be a pretty bad defense. He should be able to throw it all over them. And, I mean, last year...
Yeah, I mean, probably won't be the type of game where he's playing the whole game, but I still think we could see what he's going to be like this year.
Yeah, and this offense is really going to have to step up this year after such a great defense last year.
Yeah, I mean, defense last year carried, which is not something you hear a lot in the Big 12. So they're going to definitely need Spencer Sanders to step up big time this year. You got anything else, Marco?
Yep. Nope.
All right. That's all for today. We hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Second Take Podcast. We will see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Yep. Bye.